Okay, so first problem on your study guide, which looks like this, study guide 14.0, and we are solving quadratic equations by factoring or completing the square. Okay, so the first problem we're going to look at looks like this. So you're going to say, okay, now you're asking me to factor or complete the square, but this isn't a quadratic equation in standard form. Well, no, consider this a gift, because this first problem looks like this because it's already been factored for you. So if you look at your menu, you notice after it's factored, which this is, the next step says set each factor containing a variable equal to 0. That's the zero product property. So we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And then after we set each factor containing a variable equal to 0, we're going to solve by isolating the variable. So here we would get rid of this 8, and x would be equal to -8. And here we would get rid of the 6, and x would be equal to -6. These are your two solutions. If I plugged these back into the equation, if I did a Punnett square and got my my trinomial, my quadratic trinomial, it would look like this. This is equal to this because I just multiplied these together using a Punnett square. If I plugged these two values one at a time back into this equation, my y value would be 0. And that is what I want, because that means that's going to be my x-intercept, and that means this is going to be an x-intercept also. So I have two x-intercepts. If I graphed it, I would have an x-intercept at -6 and another x-intercept at -8. And my axis of symmetry would be x is -7. And my vertex would be somewhere. Those are your two solutions, your two x-intercepts for this equation, which was given to us factored already. So number 2 on your study guide looks like this. So once again, we're going to use the zero product property, and every factor that contains a variable is going to be made equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides, and I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And those are your two solutions. Easy. Okay, look at number 3. Now remember, our directions say solve it by factoring or completing the square. If you're giving a choice, factoring is easier. If factoring doesn't work, we'll complete the square. Hint, hint, factoring's going to work because I say so. All right, we're going to factor this. It's in standard form. Y equals 0. Then when we factor it, we look for a GCF. Don't see one. We look for special cases. It's not a PST. This isn't a square number. And it's not dots because it's not a binomial. So then I'm going to look at my A value. And since A equals 1, I can try to factor this using Xman. A times C is 5 and B is 6. Be careful, we got confused with this one in class because I tried to put a 3 and a 2 here, and that doesn't work because your product is 5. So that would be 5 times 1, and your sum is 6, which would be 5 plus 1. So if those are the two values, then I'm going to do x plus 5 and x plus 1 equals 0. Set each factor containing a variable equal to 0. Isolate your variable. And there are your two solutions. Piece of cake. All right, number 4, x squared plus 7x minus 18 equals 0. It's in standard form. Y is 0. So I'm going to go ahead and factor it. I don't see a GCF. It's not a special case. A equals 1. So again, I'm going to use X-man. A times C is negative 18. B is 7. My product equals 18. My sum equals 7. So I believe my numbers are going to be 9 and 2. And my 2 is going to be negative. Their product is negative 18. Their sum is 7. So your two factors will be x plus 9, x minus 2 equals 0. 0 product property. X plus 9 is 0. X minus 2 is 0. Isolate the variable. Isolate the variable here. There's your two solutions. If you plug those values one at a time back into this equation, it should equal 0. That'd be a great way to check it. Okay, number 5. Is 3x squared plus 6x equals 0. Now, we're either going to factor or complete the square. Let's try factoring. It's in standard form. Y is 0. We're going to factor it. First step of factoring is GCF. And these share a factor of 3x. I can pull a 3x out of here and here. 3x times what is 3x squared? I need one more x. 3x times what is 6x? I need a positive 2. And that still equals 0. Let's double check. 3x squared, 6x. Okay, this, I pulled out a GCF. It's not a special case. And I can't use X-man or extra X-man because that's not even a trinomial. So this is completely factored. So I'm going to set each factor containing the variable equal to 0. 0 product property. Now be careful to isolate this x. I have to do the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So these factors cancel out. X is 0. Now this time, instead of adding 2, the inverse is to subtract 2, and x equals negative 2. And there are your two solutions, your two roots, your two x-intercepts. Number 6, 2x squared plus 7x plus 3 equals 0. It's in standard form. Y equals 0. I'm going to factor it. Okay, so when I factor, I'm going to look for a GCF. Don't see one. Special cases. It's not a PST and it's not dots. So we're going to use, let's see, A equals 2. So that means I'm going to use extra X-man. So first thing I'm going to do is this. And A times C is 6. And B is 7. So if I multiply 6 and 1, I get 6, and if I add 6 and 1, I get 7. Since it's extra X-man, there's an extra step, and that is to put it in a Punnett square. Whoops. My first term goes here, my third term goes here, and these numbers are going to go here with an added x, and here with an added x. You could have put these, you could have put the 6x here and the 1x here. It'll still work. My GCF here is x. My GCF here is 3. My GCF here is 2x. And my GCF here is 1. Let's double check. This is 2x squared. This is 6x. This is 1x. And this is 3. Worked. What are my two binomial factors? Here's one. 2x plus 1, and the other one is x plus 3. And even though we factored this equation right here, it's going to still equal 0. This is factored. Yay! The next step says take each factor containing a variable and set it equal to 0. So this factor equal to 0, this factor equal to 0. And then it says isolate the variable. We've been doing this all year. I want to get x alone. Well, first I got to get rid of this little puppy. And then to get x alone, I have to divide by 2. So x equals -1/2. And here, all I have to do is get rid of this by subtracting 3. Subtraction is the inverse of addition. X equals -3. Whoop-de-doo, there are my two solutions. And if you want to verify them, all you got to do is plug them back into here one at a time. This is where my parabola is going to intersect the x-axis. My solutions, my roots, my x-intercepts, sometimes called my zeros. Let me check my time here. Okay, we're at 11 minutes. I'm going to do one more real quick and then I'll go to the next video. You know what? No, I'm going to stop it there since it's successful. We'll continue on the next video.